Let's get more now on this video showing an Australian man reportedly captured by Russian forces while fighting for Ukraine. The Prime Minister says it's concerning, and the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade is making urgent inquiries into the welfare of the prisoner, who's been identified as 32-year-old Oscar Jenkins from Melbourne. Retired Army General with the Australian military, Gus McLachlan, joins us now. Gus, this video has been released by Russian forces. What does it show?
Gemma, it shows a haggard and clearly very afraid young man who's been captured in one of the areas of the most heavy fighting that we've seen in Ukraine, that is in the Donbass area in the east of Ukraine. Conditions there are akin to something like the conditions in World War I. Masses of artillery landing, drones overhead, forcing soldiers to rapidly take cover. And to be in that area, even alongside your friends and colleagues in your own trenches, would be terrifying enough. But to be captured by Russian forces under those conditions would be extremely terrifying situation to find yourself in.
Why would Russia release a video like this, and how do they use social media, Telegram specifically, to circulate information?
Yeah, Gemma, it's a critical juncture in the war. We all know that the imminent arrival of the Trump administration, Mr. Trump claims that he's going to bring this conflict to an end. What that has done is ramp up the pressure on both sides to either be seen to be dominating or at least holding their own, so that they can make arguments in what we all expect will be some sort of negotiated settlement. We saw the Ukrainians attacking Russian buildings deep inside Russia, 1,000 kilometres in, using drones. And now the Russians are exploiting the capture of a Western soldier for their own information purposes. This is really information warfare, as it's become known, where we have this battle for narratives, battle for the story of the war. It's then picked up through social media and out into the broader media. And you've correctly highlighted, Gemma, the use of Telegram. It's an equivalent to WhatsApp, which I guess many in the West would use. It's an encrypted system, and it's one that can broadcast to up to 200,000 users in chat groups. And in this case, the Russians will be curating groups that can spread their information. Critically, it is encrypted and it is very hard to break into, so it is very hard for the Ukrainians or the Western intelligence services to break in and pick apart the information.
How are Australian authorities reacting and responding to this? And in that, is there any evidence that Russians have been specifically targeting foreign fighters?
Yeah, to the last part of your question first, Gemma, we do think the Russians are actively targeting. We understand the Ukrainians have organised a formation they call the Foreign Legion formation. Again, that is an attractive way for President Zelensky to show that foreign countries are supporting their war efforts. And we understand up to 50 countries have had individuals participating in that Foreign Legion, including a number of Australians. It's hard to put an exact number on that, but we do know that there have been Australians killed as part of this organisation. The Russians will be monitoring the electronic warfare domain, the radio signals and the chat that goes on between Western forces, listening for English language being used, and they will be seeking to either kill or capture these soldiers, again with the specific purpose of using them to convince the world that they are dominating. We also know that, of course, Ukraine and other countries then are willing to make additional concessions to get those soldiers back in prisoner exchanges. So if you're a young Australian or a Brit or a Canadian or an American on the front line, you can expect to be specifically targeted by the Russian forces you face.
Retired Army General with the Australian military, Gus McLachlan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Gemma.